squishy ball massage stuff. So you will need a couch cushion, a pillow, folded blanket, beach towel, something like that. Maybe a couple yoga blocks nearby. Belt. It can be a yoga belt. It can be a bathrobe tie. It can be a long scarf. And a small ball. So, children's play ball. This one's about 4 inches in diameter. Anything children's size play ball will do. You might even want to have some tennis balls nearby for fun if you want even deeper pressure. But we're going to start with the squishy ball. And we're going to get up on top of it as ladylike as possible. And pick a cheek. And get up on top of it and go for a ride. It is going to sound like a boat show. So you're just going to massage one butt cheek. Make sure you have all your loose clothing up out of the way as you roll all over that ball. And just pick one cheek, one butt cheek only. So rolling all over that squishy ball, under one butt cheek only. Do acknowledge that your butt cheek starts at the very top of your thigh, and it goes over to your side hip pocket, and your butt cheek goes all the way up to your waistband. So there's quite a bit of area on that one butt cheek. So shift your weight around, massage all around on that one side. This can be wrist intensive, so do shift around to try to take some of the weight off your wrists. Maybe come down to an elbow. If, when you find a sore spot, I'm going to invite you to settle into it. And if you want more intensity, you can do a little thigh master move. So I have the ball underneath this cheek, and I'm moving the corresponding leg. Open, shut them, give a little clap, clap, clap. And if that still doesn't make your eyes roll back in the back of your head, if you want more intensity, you can take that ankle, cross it over the opposite thigh. Ankle bone on thigh bone. You see my ball right there underneath my butt cheek. And you might shift your weight side to side, front to back, around and around. Really settling in on that sore spot and breathe into that sore spot. The bigger the ball, the gentler and nicer this is. With that said, if you want to try this with a tennis ball, that's all you. Only go at the intensity level where you can still breathe. If you're holding your breath, that's too intense. If you're holding your breath, you're probably giving yourself a bruise. And then after that first sore spot starts to release, you might find a second sore spot. Settle into it. And same thing. You can do your little thigh master move. You can cross your ankle over. Breathe into it. Settle into it. It takes 3 or 4 breaths, long, slow, steady breaths for the muscle to get the idea to release. Relax. All right. So we did one butt cheek. Go ahead, come off the ball. Have a seat. Kind of lift and separate, spread things out, and notice the difference between the two sides. That was just a minute or so on that first side. And already, for me, I can feel the difference. One butt cheek does feel rounder, bulkier, more puffed up than the other. The other one spreads out a little bit more. Go ahead, even yourself out. So take that tennis ball under the other tennis ball or squishy ball. I recommend squishy ball underneath the other cheek. Again, legs go wide as you roll all over your backside. Search and destroy. Search for a sore spot and breathe into it. Then do a little thigh master move. Or maybe cross your ankle over. Keep on breathing. And again, do acknowledge that butt cheek goes over to the side hip pocket. It goes up to the waistband. It goes all the way to the very top of your thigh bone. And settle in and breathe. Maybe this is your second spot. And then release. All right, coming off that squishy ball. Reach back, lift and separate. Spread the wealth around. Admire your handiwork. Use your hands to spread it out a little bit more. And notice how much of your butt is down on the ground. You spent all your money, honey. You should ask Daddy nicely. The ice cream truck is coming. Okay, all right. And now you're gonna take that ball once again in between the cheeks. Get up on it. Lift and separate, spread it out. Embrace the ball towards the back of your butt. So here you go. You've got your sacrum, which is that triangular shaped bone that runs down between your butt cheeks. You're gonna go between the tailbone at the tip of your sacrum, the tailbone and the sit bone on the right, and the tailbone and sit bone on the left. Into that triangular shape is where you're gonna be placing the ball. And you're gonna sit down on it. And regardless of how big your backside is, when you sit down on that ball, you should be able to see it from behind. It's sticking out behind you. You don't want it shifting forward into a different Bermuda triangle. So you want it between sit bones and tailbones towards the back half of your butt. And then sit down on it. Really sit around it as best you can. That's where a bigger ball is nicer. And then if you have blocks nearby, you might be finding a use for those blocks in just a moment, because from here you're going to put the bottoms of your feet together, Baddha Konasana. And if you feel like you're tipping from side to side, well, that's what the blocks are for, or couch cushions. You can wedge them underneath your knees so you can stay upright. Take a good shoulder shrug up, back and down. Press your fingertips into the floor and lift your ribs out of your hips. At the same time, press your sit bones down. In fact, press your sit bones back, even stick your tail out behind you, and let your chest project forward. Pressing into your fingertips, lift your ribs out of your hips. At the same time, bear down on the ball. In fact, try pushing the ball back behind you using your sit bones. And do your best to breathe. Stay here, keep breathing into it, or optional, you can hinge forward by bringing your heart toward your toes. And take your hands to your feet, massage your feet, work your big toes like they're joysticks. Maybe wiggle your jaw, work up a good yawn. Try to settle into this. Take some nice deep belly breaths. Use your belly to pry your thighs apart a little bit more. And then crawl your hands up your lap. Bring your legs together. Stretch your legs out. You're still sitting on that ball. In fact, you're going to take your feet wide, still sitting on that ball. Make sure everything goes wide, not just your legs, but your backside too. You want that ball to make contact with the inside of the sit bone on the right and the inside of the sit bone on the left. So the ball is on the inside of your sit bones, maybe even making contact with the tip of your tailbone as well. With that ball perched behind you, or you perch on top of the ball, ideally you're getting your pelvis to tilt in such a way that your belly spills forward. Legs go nice and straight. Shoulder shrug up. Hitchhike your thumbs. Press your fingertips down as you lift your heart up. Uttanasana Konasana. Continue to press those sit bones down into the ball. Continue to press your sit bones back behind you. Oh, you got your ice cream. Awesome. You got it from the ice cream truck. Get shoulders back, chest lifted. And maybe bring your hands forward. Continue to lead the way with your heart. Try to be nice to yourself. Let your focus and attention be back behind you. It's not about putting your face on the ground. It's not about putting your chest on the ground. It's about pushing the sit bones back behind you. Trying to push the ball out, back behind you. You might even engage your legs, like you're drawing your legs into your pelvis, and get those sit bones to widen out behind you even more. And of course, breathing, making this tolerable with each and every breath. And then find your belly, lift that up first, and then everything else up second as you come back up. Right. Reach back, remove the ball, and notice how much of you is on the ground. There's a lot more of you on the ground than usual. And kind of spread the backs of your legs out. It might feel like your butt's in a bit of a hole, but your thighs are still kind of bulky. Like they haven't spread out. The back of your legs haven't spread out on the ground yet. So we're going to release the backs of the thighs now. Help your legs together. Again, I'm going to encourage you to orient yourself so you can see the screen. I'm turning sideways just so you can see ball placement here. I'm going to take the ball into or under the right sit bone. So the gluteal fold, that's where your bathing suit's supposed to stay but never does, where your butt cheek meets the top of your thigh, right there. That's where you want the ball, the very top of your thigh bone where it meets your sit bone. This is my right leg, so I got the ball underneath my right sit bone. Left knee bends out to the side. Ball's right there. And if I feel like I'm tipping over to the left towards the bent knee, I'm going to prop the knee up with a block or two, couch cushion or two, whatever you need, so that you feel like you can stay upright. To help you stay a little bit more upright, you can get in there with your left hand and widen that left butt cheek out. So the ball is making contact with the very top of your right thigh bone, right at the bottom of your right butt cheek. Right leg is straight out in front, left leg is bent, left foot up against the right inner thigh. Shoulders shrug up, back and down, press your fingertips into the floor, lift your chest up, and lead the way with your heart. Press into your fingertips to project your chest forward, press your chest forward. Continue to bear down on that ball, and do your best to keep breathing. And then maybe you want to bring your hands forward and continue to lengthen out over the straight leg. You're doing a fancy little biomechanical kinesiology, exercise physiology trick here. What you are doing is tricking that hamstring muscle on the back of your thigh into thinking it's more firmly attached to the sit bone than it actually is. And because it gets tricked into feeling secure, it actually relaxes. It releases. So that hamstring lets go the more you bear down on that ball. And you might find that you're able to bring your chest a little further out over the straight leg than usual. Some of you might be able to reach out, take a hold of the foot. And you might even bow your head towards the knee. Keep on breathing. Now, if you're able to take hold of the foot, great. You don't need a belt. But if you don't grab a hold of your foot with your hands, then you can use a belt to grab a hold of that foot. And what you're going to do is engage. You're going to pull back on the foot to plug the leg into your pelvis and kick your sit bones out behind you. So your challenge, if you choose to accept it, is keep the leg straight, but shorten it, plug it in, pull it into socket, and then stick your booty out. The more you can shorten the straight leg and stick your butt out, the further you'll be able to advance your chest out along that leg. Bowing your head, maybe tucking your chin. Breathing. And then use your hands to crawl yourself back up and switch sides. Cool. Take a moment just to observe the difference between the two sides. And then you're going to stick the ball in the other side. So for me, this is my left leg. I'm going to put the ball underneath my left gluteal fold, the very top of my left thigh bone, and I'm pulling as much flesh out of the way as I can because I want that ball to make contact with the bone. Right knee bends out to the side. Might even spread that right side out a little bit more. If you feel like you're tipping over to the right, or if you're nervous about your knee, you can mind at the gap, fill it with a block. So foot against leg, leg against foot, foot flex flat, shoulders up, back and down as you press your fingertips into the ground. Lift your chest up, continue to press down on that ball. Press your thigh bone down into the ball. Chest lifts up as you hinge forward, climbing out over that straight leg. And you might even bow your head. Keep on breathing. Now again, some of you might be able to reach out, take hold of the foot, or use a belt to lasso the foot. Pull back on that foot. Pull the leg deep into your pelvis. Stick your butt out behind you even more and let your chest come further forward. Now, if you have that belt right across the ball of the foot, or if you have your fingertips right at the ball of your foot, you can dig in, kind of between the ball of the foot and the arch of the foot, right where it transitions from callus to ticklish. And the calloused part to the ticklish part, right there at the ball of the foot meets the top of the arch of the foot. That area is said to be an acupuncture point, the most yin or grounding or downward descending or calming points on the body. Go ahead, bow your head, breathe into it. Turn your attention inward. Keep breathing. And then hands to the ground, crawl yourself back up to sit. Oh, remove the ball. And again, notice the difference between the two sides. Again, get in there, maybe spread things out and see how much of you can make contact with the ground. Now, I don't know about you, but my calves feel bulky now. Now it feels like I have to do something about these calves. So the nicest, gentlest option would be to take that ball underneath the calf. Shoulders back, chest lifted, make it look good. And you can waggle it, and you can roll the ankle. And you can waggle it and roll the ankle. But if that's not intense enough and you want more intensity, you can add some weight to it. Double up. Again, rolling the ankle, pointing, bending the foot. You got that option. And then you want to do the same on the other side. So again, you can take the ball underneath the calf, kind of halfway between the ankle and the knee pit. Try to move this foot out of the way so you can see. Waggle, roll, point and bend. If you need more intensity, add some more weight. And then from here, release. If that's rocking your world, you just keep rocking your world there, working on those calves. If you want even more intensity, you can do this with 2 tennis balls or 2 squish balls or 1 ball at a time, depending on what you have. And take that ball and wedge it into the knee pit and then sit down on it. And you got your blocks nearby for stability's sake. And you can control how heavily you sit down on it. And you can sway yourself from side to side. Tennis balls are really nice for this. It kind of gives you a 2-for-1. It gives you a bit of a calf massage and a little bit of a hamstring massage on the back of the thigh. If you have 2 balls, you're doing both legs at the same time. If you only have 1 ball, just take a breath or 2. About 3 or 4 breaths on each side and then switch, do the other calf. So we've worked most of the chain of events from your waistband through your butt, down the back of your legs to your calves. Now we're going to get the Achilles tendons as we come into a downward facing dog. So coming into that downward facing dog, curl your toes under. Start by flipping your buns up towards the sky, big old bottom. And then back it up, still lifting your buns high towards the sky. And then begin to pull your legs straight, pressing your heels down towards the ground. And then pedaling your feet, bending one knee then the other. Prance, do a little cha-cha-cha, do a little sway from side to side as you bend one knee then the other. Shift your weight wide from side to side. Press down hard through the heel of one foot, then hard down through the heel of the other, alternating. Kind of put as much weight into that heel as you can. So if you want even more intensity, you can kind of hook your toes around the heel of the other foot and drag that heel down towards the ground, just to get a little bit more stretch. And then you would do the same on the other. So you hook your toes on the back of the ankle, you drag all the way down to the heel, just to traction the skin, give you even more Achilles and calf stretch there. All the while your butt is perky. And then both legs at the same time. Bend your knees, flip your buns high towards the sky, press your inner thighs back, stretch your inner heels back. Try to pick your toes up as you press your heels down. And then bend your knees. Come on down with your toes curled under. Come on down with your toes curled under. Make sure those pinky toes are curled under as well. Good. Sitting back over your heels. Feeling the undersides of your feet stretch, your toes stretch. Shoulders back, chest lifted. Doing your best to breathe. And then release. I only have one squishy ball, and I'm going to take that squishy ball underneath the necks of my toes, where my toes attached to my foot, and I'm going to sit back over that heel. So my ankle is hanging off the ball, and the ball is mostly underneath the toes. I'm getting a good stretch on the top side of the foot. I attended a workshop a couple months ago. In it, they were talking about body rolling, plantar release, fascial release, plantar fascial release on the underside of the foot. And somebody piped up and made the really valid point that you probably should stretch the top side of the foot sometime too. Everybody always thinks about doing the plantar side, the underside of the foot. But if you can stretch the top side of that foot too, it might help. All right, so I killed time, I talked. We're gonna go ahead and release and put that ball in place underneath the other toes, the other foot. So the ball goes underneath the neck of the toes, your ankle's hanging off. And you're in charge of how much weight you shift onto that foot or not. You might consider swaying a little bit from side to side, if your foot can tolerate that. Again, it's less intense if you're kneeling, even more intense if you're down here praying for it to be over. Keep on breathing. And then release. Oh, I'm gonna bail out of that one. Oh. And then you're gonna pick a side, whichever side you prefer, pick a side. You're gonna lie on your side, and we're gonna work down the outside of the leg. So you might have your pillow and your block near your head. That squishy ball, again, I recommend squishy ball for this, not necessarily a tennis ball. The tennis ball might be a little bit much. You're gonna take that squishy ball underneath your side hip pocket. Okay? So the side seam of the granny panties or your tidy whities, that's where you want the ball. That side seam area, below the hip bone and above the thigh. Side hip pocket. Now the top leg can be a kickstand. You can have that kickstand in front or in back, whatever gives you the best control. It can be on your elbow, and if you're on your elbow, make sure you shrug your shoulder away from your ear and bring that elbow in underneath your shoulder so you don't collapse into the supporting shoulder. The supporting shoulder is engaged. That arm bone is pulled in the socket. Top arm, you can hitchhike that shoulder up, back, and down. Lift your heart up. Make this look good. Smile for the camera. Breathe. And then you begin to tip your belly up, belly down. Belly up, belly down. Top hand can be a kickstand as well to help you control this. And then we're going to take that ball just below the short shorts, to the very top of the thigh bone. Get up on it. And the top foot can be a kickstand in front or in back. The top hand can be a kickstand. You are shrugging out of that bottom shoulder, keeping your heart lifted, making this look good, maybe smiling the whole time. If you're not smiling and you want more intensity, you can kick that top leg out, stack it up, put 2 legs on top of that ball. And do your best to keep smiling. 2 legs on top of the ball is optional. Breathing is not. So choose the level at which you can still breathe. And again, if you're holding your breath, you're probably giving yourself a bruise. Probably don't want that. All right, just get acquainted with this and then move along. Halfway, middle half of the thigh. Shrug out that bottom shoulder, keep your heart lifted, keep your belly pulled in. And you'll notice I started to swing the bottom leg, front to back. You can do that. You can stack the legs. You can also do belly down, belly up, rock your belly. Choose your own adventure. But just get acquainted with this. The idea is to get introduced, to make acquaintance, and then move along. Treat it like a first date. Don't spend the night there. Speaking of not spending the night there, let's move along. Put that ball just above the knee, the bottom third of the thigh. Again, check the supporting shoulder. Keep your heart lifted, your belly pulled in, make it look good. And swinging that leg if you like. Stacking your legs if you like. Belly up, belly down if you like. Work it however you like. And release. I'm going to take the ball now, put it in front of your belly button. So find your belly button, bring that ball out in front of your belly button. And then you can go ahead, come off that shoulder. You did a good shoulder stabilizing work there. But you can take a rest now. I'm going to lift my head up, just so maybe you can hear me a little bit more clearly, but you can leave your head down. You're going to take the top leg now, hike it out in front, and put that ball just on the inside of the bottom of the thigh. So it's just above the knee, tucked underneath the inside of the thigh. So your shin is free to move around. And go ahead, move that shin around. You're going to kick and curl, do a little bicycle, play a little hacky sack, pedal your bike. Just massaging the inside of that knee. And you might get a little bit more into it. Bigger circles. And you might be comfortable with letting that ball or yourself travel over the ball so that the ball ends up a little bit more closer, higher up on the inner thigh. And this is where definitely having a bigger ball is easier to handle and more comfortable. And eventually you might find yourself almost rolling over onto your tummy. Maybe getting that ball all the way up, friendly. So working the inside line of that inner thigh. And breathing. And you still might be able to play around with a little hacky sack type move. Helicoptering the shin, the leg around. Doing your best to breathe into this. Again, you could have your head on a pillow. You can do whatever you want with the upper body. I'm so used to addressing a class that sometimes I forget that I can relax and put my head down. I have a mic on. I don't have to yell. Breathe. All right, again, it's just a first date. I know. Let's move along, folks. And let's switch sides. So you might consider just flipping over. Then I'm going to ask you to orient yourself so you can see the screen. You don't have to always flip over when I flip over, but you are going to switch sides. I'm on my other side, and I'm going to take that squishy ball, put it in that side hip pocket, the side seam of the granny panties or the tighty whities, side hip pocket. Make sure that supporting elbow is underneath the shoulder, and the shoulder is in socket away from your ear. Your heart's lifted, your belly's pulled in, you're making it look good. Top leg is a kickstand in front or in back. And you can rock your belly down and up. Want a little bit more ab challenge? Try to do it without supporting. The top hand can be a kickstand, help you control this. Most important thing here in terms of injury prevention is to make sure that supporting arm is in socket. That shoulder is down away from your ear and the elbow is underneath the shoulder. All right, I talked to kill time. So again, after 3 or 4 or 5 breaths, we're going to move along. Take that ball to the top third of the thigh, just below the short shorts on leg bone. And you can swing that bottom leg. You can rock belly down, belly up. You can play around with stacking legs. You can also put your head down if you want. Or continue to tone that shoulder. Keep that shoulder joint stable. And move along. Halfway between the knee and the hip. Middle thigh. Okay. You know the options. Wiggling, rocking, breathing. So in Chinese medicine, there's lines of energy. And one of the pairs of lines, there's a pair of them, one on each side. One of them runs up the outside of the leg, right along this racing stripe, kind of zigzagging up and down the leg. You're going to move that ball now just above the knee, to the lower third of the thigh. Shrug out of your shoulder, pull your belly in, relax your jaw, smile, roll it out. And then release. Again, make nice with your upper body. Let your head come down to the ground or pillow, if you like. You can take the ball out in front of you, in line with the belly button, like it just spilled out of your belly button. Then hike that top knee out and put the inside of the thigh on the ball. inside of the thigh on the ball. And you can do your kick and curl, your helicopter move. Get some more amplitude. Again, the bigger the ball, the nicer on this. Smaller balls, harder balls, definitely. You can bring a tear to your eye. So there's these various lines, Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, lines of energy, and they tend to run along the lines of your body that would separate two muscles, or the front side from the back side, or the inside from the outside. So think about the line you're running up and down, this inner thigh, in between the quadricep on the front, hamstring on the back, digging into some adductor muscles, inner thigh muscles, attaching to the inside of the knee, running up into the pelvis. So you can imagine what would happen if there were adhesions or areas that's kind of stuck together, bunched up, or some way we're restricted. Chinese medicine, there's a theory that all pain is caused by congestion, you know, like on the freeway. All right, so decongest. Come off that ball. Oh. And come back up to sit. And take your legs out in front once again. Spread it all out. Notice how much more of it is on the ground. And take that ball once again into that triangle between tailbone, sit bone, tailbone, sit bone, sit bone. Right there between the cheeks. I already showed you the rear view of that one. You only get one rear view of that one. Legs are out in front of you. If you have a belt, get it out. So spread the wealth around. Make sure that ball is sticking out behind you a little bit, making contact with the tailbone and the sit bones. Legs are out and straight, and you're going to press your inner thighs down and spread your outer thighs out. Inner thighs down, outer thighs out. So get the meat to twist around the bones. That meat that you just massaged, that inner thigh line, press that down. Flex your feet. Take that belt across the balls of your feet. Remember that point right there where the ball of the foot meets the arch of the foot, where the callus part meets the tickly part? Right there. That's where you want the belt to go. Or if you know you'll be able to reach down and grab a hold of your feet, that's where you'll be digging in your fingers. Belt right there across the balls of your feet. Shoulders up, back, and down. Go ahead, cross the ends of your belt if it's long enough, so that you can shrug your shoulders up, back, and down. Squeeze those elbows in narrow. Let your chest stick out. Draw your shoulder blades down. Here's something interesting. You might have started to breathe into your heart to get your heart up. But now I'm going to ask you to leave your heart up and breathe into that brow band, base of the shoulder blades. Oh, did some of your back muscles just relax? Now pull your tummy muscles in as you exhale. Breathe into your back ribs again. Drop your shoulders as you exhale, pull your tummy in. Hug those elbows in narrow. Now pull your chest through your arms without collapsing that brow band. Keep your back ribs puffy. And you press your inner thighs down. Grow up taller through the crown of your head, pulling back on your elbows. Hug your elbows in narrow. Maybe turn your thumbs out to the side like you're hitchhiking. Sitting up nice and tall. Breathe into your back ribs. Exhale, hinge forward. Then you can climb down that belt. Hold on as close as you can to your feet. Or if you know, you can grab a hold of your feet. You're gonna dig your fingertips into those spots on the underside of your foot. Shoulders are down. Inhaling, lift your heart up as you naturally would. Exhale, get a little bit taller. Now breathe into those back ribs. Can you hike your shoulders up around your ears? Maybe wiggle your sides a little bit longer. Breathe into those back ribs a little bit more. And then bend your elbows. Maybe bow your head. Keep breathing. So there's one of those lines of energy, two parallel lines. Starts at the inside corners of your eyeballs, eye sockets, and runs along the line of your mohawk, all the way down the back of your neck, so drop your shoulders. All the way down, parallel sides of your spine, to your butt, where it angles off to go down the back of your legs, like the stripe on the back of your fishnet pantyhose. That center line up the midline of the back of your thigh, just like on your fishnet pantyhose, all the way to the bottoms of your feet, and you're digging your fingers in at that ending point. You're creating a circuit from the top of your head all the way down the back side of your body, the bottoms of your feet, and around and around and around and around. And then place your hands down on the ground. Shrug your shoulders up, back and down. Inhale, slowly come on up. And along the line, that mohawk line down the back side of your body, you're also really stimulating the insides of those sit bones. So maybe you were able to reach down there and get deeper into that forward fold than ever before. Remove the ball, and it's going to feel like you're really sitting in a hole right now. Feels funky. All right, we're going to continue into the hips. I'm going to turn sideways. Again, you orient however you can see the screen best. And you might have a pillow nearby. Pillow's optional. You're going to pelvic thrust, lift your hips up, and tuck that ball between the cheeks, under your butt. If you're doing tennis balls, you would put one tennis ball in each butt cheek. Matching dimples, matching tennis ball butt dimples. If you just have one squishy ball, it is underneath that sacrum, between your butt cheeks. And you can do a little march. And you might consider breathing into your back ribs, spreading your back ribs out a little bit more. Breathing into your back waistband. Maybe spreading that out a little bit more. And then if it works for you, you can bring both knees into your chest and breathe into your back ribs. Breathe into your back waistband. Exhale, pull your tummy in nice and tight. Lock in the C curve. Your front ribs tucked in, breathing into your back ribs and your back waistband. Exhaling, pulling your tummy in, hugging your knees to your chest. Arms can be out to the side to help you balance. And then you take your legs straight up. Hook one big toe on top of the other and lock your legs straight. Cross one big toe on top of the other. Then press your heels out as you straighten your legs. So you're inwardly rotating your legs. Find your tummy. It's that thing that's hanging out. And as you exhale, make sure your tummy's pulled in like you're getting tickled. Pull in those front ribs like you're getting tickled. This is our starting position. All of that, and we haven't even done the stretch yet. So from here, inhale. Exhale, yoga abs activate. And lower your right leg down, maybe halfway. And inhale, bring it right back up. And exhale, the other leg down. And bring it back up. And continue to take big steps. Striding. Breathing into your back ribs. Breathing into your back waistband. Take a nice long walk. And you'll begin to notice that you can drop or spread your legs wider apart and maintain that pelvic thrust tilt to your hips, that C curve in your spine. And depending on how good your balance is, how relaxed your backside is, you might be able to reach up there and grab a hold and give yourself a little bit more pull. So stretching those hamstrings another time in another way. Might really enjoy how much of the splits you're getting into tonight. And then bring it back in. Set your feet down one at a time. Pelvic thrust, lift your hips up. Remove the ball. It's going to feel really funky. Okay, the ball gets tucked between your knees. And you're going to squeeze the ball with your inner thighs. Take your feet up and wide. Turn your toes in. I'm going to squeeze the ball. Begin with an inhale. And as you exhale, squeeze the ball. Activate those tickle muscles. And spread your heels. Squeeze the ball. Arms out to your sides. Big inhale. Exhale. Cross one big toe on top of the other, but keep pressing your heels wide. Keep squeezing the ball as you inhale. Exhale. Belly strong. Take both legs over to the right. And maybe you can keep your legs together all the way over into a nice twist. So I'm still keeping my toes crossed. I'm still squeezing the ball between my knees. If one of my shoulders is floating, that left shoulder is floating, you can bend the left elbow, put the left hand on your ribs so you don't overstretch that left shoulder. Keep breathing, nice strong belly. Each and every exhale is a chance to pull your tummy in, tuck your ribs in like you're getting tickled, maybe fidget your shoulders so they lie a little flatter. Keep squeezing the ball. Squeezing the ball helps you access those inner thigh muscles, helps you to pull in that pelvic floor, helps you to activate your core so you can twist with your abs. And breathe. This is just our Parvattanasana. This is all about rotating your stomach. It's all about abdominals. Twist deeper into this pose. If I pick my arms up, I don't go anywhere. Getting there by twisting my core. And then go ahead, relax. So you can uncross, untangle, lift the top leg up first, the bottom leg up second, and recenter yourself. All right. Get friendly with that ball once again. Between your thighs. Take your feet wide, turn your toes in, squeeze the ball. Exhale, tuck in your front ribs, squeeze the ball nice and tight, and then cross one big toe on top of the other. Is that the same way you crossed your big toes last time? Maybe. Go ahead, recross, put the other big toe on top. It should feel really weird, funky. That means you switch sides. The opposite big toe is crossed on top. Squeezing the ball, exhale, abs strong, legs go all the way over to the other side. Knees are stacked, toes are still crossed. Pushing that top hip over, hugging your knees against the ball. If your shoulder's floating, then put the hands on your rib. The hand on your ribs. Nice deep rib cage breath, and then when you exhale, tuck those ribs in, engage your abs, squeeze the ball in, twist your shoulders to lie a little flatter, if you're into that kind of thing. You might do that thing, that exhaling, twisting elbow thing, 2 or 3 or 4 times until you get comfortable, until you settle in. And then work it, taking those belly breaths. Exhale. Maybe breathing into your back ribs, maybe breathing into your back waistband. Notice what that does for your spine. Exhaling, pulling your tummy in. Notice what that does for your hips, pelvis, your lower back. Try all the different places you can breathe. And then you get to relax. And lift the top leg up first, the bottom leg up second. Come back to neutral. Just take a moment to stretch out nice and flat. Keep the ball nearby, don't lose it. Just take a moment to stretch out nice and flat. And how much of you is making contact with the ground, how flat you are. And let's work our way up the spine to let go of some more good stuff. So bending your knees one at a time. Pick a side any side, roll on over. Now you're going to take that ball right up between the shoulder blades. You're going to skip this whole midsection. Skip the middle of the spine. You're going to skip that lumbar region. You're going to skip the lower ribs. They're skinny little things, and you don't want to crack one of those off. You're going to go all the way up in between the shoulder blades. Nice bony plates. And tuck that ball in there, in between the shoulder blades. I think I'm going to spin around. Right up there between the shoulder blades. And support your head. Knees bent, feet flat. You can take your feet wide, turn your toes in, let your knees lean together. Supporting your head, chin is tucked towards your chest. I kind of hook my thumbs at the base of my skull. Back breaths. Breathe into those back ribs. Exhale, pull your tummy in. Maybe do a little pelvic thrust tilt. Your butt is relaxed. Keep your booty soft. Did all that butt rubbing. Keep it relaxed. Don't tighten it back up. Breathe into your back waist. Exhale, tuck in your front ribs. So you're activating your abs by breathing. Inhaling into your back ribs and exhaling from your belly. Inhaling into your back waistband and exhaling, tucking in your front ribs. Go ahead, pull in that Kegel just for fun. Squeeze your knees together just for fun. And then you can start to wiggle. Walk your hips towards your heels and wiggle that ball up a little bit higher between the shoulder blades. And keep as much of your abs engaged as you need to. It doesn't have to be 100%. It might be 70%. Keep your abs engaged just enough to maintain that curve in your back. That's all you need. Maintain that C curve. So that you're bearing down on that ball. And you're supporting the weight of your head with your abs in a roundabout way. As long as you can keep your back rounded. You're working all the way between the shoulder blades, up towards the base of your skull even. You're supporting your head so you can determine how much weight you let settle on that ball. Again, a bigger ball is nicer, more forgiving. Smaller the ball is, the more direct the pressure is. And maybe eventually working that ball to the base of your skull. Getting the hair up out of the way. Knees are bent, feet are flat, toes are turned in, knees are leaning together. Ball at the base of your skull. At this point, most of your back, like 85, 90% of your back is on the ground. There's like no airspace between your spine and the ground. Breathe. And slowly let your head turn side to side. So getting the hair up out of the way and your shirt pulled down out of the way. And slowly let your head turn side to side. You can wiggle your jaw, yawn, even swallow. Depending on the size of the ball and how much control you have over it by how heavy you're letting your head be. The heavier your head is, the more control you'll have as you slowly turn your head all the way, side to side, shaking your head no, shrugging your shoulders down underneath your body, away from your ears. Shoulders tucked in under your body, away from your ears.
Turning all the way from side to side. And then you're going to come to neutral, remove the ball, and notice how much of your upper back is on the ground. We're going to release those shoulders a little bit more. So this is my right hand. I'm going to take the ball in my right hand underneath my left arm, underneath my left armpit, and I'm going to tuck that ball underneath the shoulder blade. I want the ball underneath that triangular pork chop shoulder blade so that you can shrug and unshrug the shoulder. Shrug and unshrug, circle shrug one way, circle shrug the other. Work that shoulder blade all over the ball. And you might have your knees falling one side or the other to help you work it. Now the arm that's attached to that shoulder blade, you can also work it. Take me to the gun show here. Show me your muscles. Just like you kicked and curled your shin, you played a little hacky sack, well, you're doing all the upper body equivalent. Bicycling your bicep. And then eventually, you're going to shrug and wiggle around and work that ball into the armpit. So getting that ball all up in that armpit. Now the other hand can be here ready to tap out, controlling how much weight you put on that ball. Eventually get that ball all up in that armpit. Really embrace the ball. Get that ball deep into the cup of the armpit. And then you can support your head, the palm of your hand, or you can put your head on top of the shoulder, on top of the ball. But do whatever you want to add weight or not to that armpit ball. Doesn't really matter what the lower body's doing, because the lower body's not really doing it. And breathe. Then you're going to run along the line between the tan and the non-tan, the line between the bicep and the tricep. That line from armpit to elbow. And you can travel. Either push the ball towards the elbow or scoot your hips down away from the elbow as the ball travels up the arm towards the elbow. And you might tip forward and back, head down, head up, belly down, belly up, and find another sore spot, maybe halfway between the elbow and the armpit. Wiggling it around. And then eventually all the way to the tip of the elbow. All the way to the tip of the elbow. Now you could have your head resting on the arm, or you could be supporting your head in the palm of your hand like I'm doing. Either way is valid. But do control whatever you're doing. Hopefully your head just wouldn't fall off and smack to the ground. Your neck's that relaxed. You don't need me. All right, and release. And you get to switch sides. So first you're going to be lying down, and you're going to be tucking that ball underneath with the opposite hand. So take that hand across your chest, tuck the ball underneath the other shoulder, whichever one that is for you. That ball tucked in underneath the shoulder. support your head any way you need to or want to. And shrug and unshrug your shoulder. Cycle the arm around and around. Maybe have your knees falling side to side to help you work that ball underneath that shoulder blade. Getting all over that ball. Maybe eventually working that ball into the armpit. That ball in the armpit. Ball in the armpit. You might find yourself rocking belly down and belly up. And I think you know where to go from here. You're going to be working up towards the elbow. I'm going to turn my fan off. It's finally cooling off out here. So you're traveling out of the armpit towards the elbow, the upper third of that arm bone. And the middle half of the arm bone. Again, support your head any way you like. Control it. And then eventually you're going to make your way to the tip of the elbow. Bottom third of that arm bone. And then coming off of that. All right. You're going to roll back onto your back once more. Set the ball aside. Don't lose it. Stretch yourself full out, flat out. And really spread out as best you can. Spread everything out. Flaring your toes, pressing through your heels. Locking your legs out, pressing your inner thighs towards the ground, spreading your thighs out, spreading your butt out, breathing into your back waistband, pulling your tummy in a little bit, breathing into your back ribs, maybe prying up your shoulders, taking them a little bit wider, getting more of your ribs down on the ground, and then release your arms. Flip your palms up, shrug your shoulders under. Let your thumbnails dive down towards the ground. And shake your head no, wiggle your jaw. You might even run your hands up through your hair, piling your hair onto the top of your head. And then settle in. Notice how much is touching the ground. And you can begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. Stretch your arms and legs. Stretching, moving, even yawning. Make your way slowly over onto your right side. And then from there, use your hands on the ground. Slowly press yourself up to sit. And we'll finish with hands together at the heart. Namaste. And have a good night, everybody.